Good day, everyone. It is nice over here for you and I because learning never ends and education is the key to an impactful life. My name is Anthony Nathaniel. Good day, everyone. I welcome you back to Global Education Zone. And today, in the 10th episode of our data processing for SS1, we are going to be dealing with operating system. Now, an operating system is basically the kind of like the background, the foundation of every computer you see because operating system gives it a background and a backdrop from which it can project the tools and functions that it can perform. Now a computer can process and can give results and can store and can give outputs, but it can only do that sufficiently and efficiently if it has a corresponding operating system. Now today we have different operating systems, and first of all, let's talk about what an operating system is. An operating system is a software, it's a special kind of software. You can say it is kind of similar to a firmware, and it is that software that kind of it communicates with the hardware of the computer and allows other programs to run and function. So an operating system is a software that enables the computer hardware to communicate with other software and also communicate with the hardware through the firmware. Now we've not talked about firmware in detail, but because that is not what operating system is. It is very different from firmware. But there are different types of operating system. We have the single user operating system, which is used by one user in a computer. We have the multitasking operating system, which is used by computers that perform different functions. For example, we make use of a multitasking operating system when we want to perform different functions using the processor of the computer. Maybe you want to make videos, edit videos on your system, and you want to read a post on that same system at the same time. So you make use of a multitasking operating system. So an example of this is basically when you make use of a virtual machine. So that is kind of like an example of a multitasking operating system because you can do two things. You can operate two operating systems at the same time. For example, when I'm trying to use my phone and it's not available, I can use VirtualBox in Mac OS, and that can link me to Android Linux operating system where I can perform that operation, and at the same time I can be doing something else on Mac operating system. So this is kind of like a multitasking operating system. Then we also have the multi-user operating system. So this multi-user operating system it is used by different users at the same time, or basically maybe at different times, but you can register different users. For example, in this Mac I'm using, basically you can have different people log in with their different passwords and they can operate on their different sections. So you can basically partition the disk of the system in such a way that you can have different sections for every person in every user. So there are different other types of operating system like your distributed operating system, batch processing operating system, real-time operating system, and so on and so forth. So basically, but today we know basically two major operating systems, which are the Windows operating system and the Mac OS or Macintosh operating system. We also have the Unix and Linux, which is the PC version of Unix, and this operating system is used by it's basically used in Android and all the rest. Now there are different functions of an operating system. Operating system helps us to store the our data and store everything, all the instructions that help a computer to function. So you can see these are the lines of code that represent the operating system of a particular computer, and this is disk operating system. It was kind of like the predecessor of Windows operating system, and it's not very common because it's quite technical and difficult to use. It requires a command line interface. So we also have the operating system help us to manage the processes of the computer. It helps us to manage the resources. So as I said earlier, when I'm trying to run a virtual machine on Mac, and you make use of the operating system to determine what portion of your memory and the processor of the computer that can be allocated to that virtual machine. So this is just an example of the kind of things you can do with the operating system. Operating system, as a result, it also helps us to manage the resources in the computer, and it also helps us to do a security management. For example, when you talk about Firebase is kind of like a kind of software architecture that helps to protect computers and devices. So it's kind of like it runs on operating systems, and that is one of the functions of an operating system. So there are different applications and functions of operating system. So, but this is where we will come to at the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed this video. You can also try the questions in the screen. So in these questions, you are asked to define operating system. You can try the questions out. You are asked to give an example of operating systems, state four functions of an operating system, mention types of operating system, and so on and so forth. So you can try these questions and then give me your feedback in the comment section of this video. Thanks for watching and see you next.